Okay, guys, welcome back to Let's Get Freaky podcast. Super excited. I am welcoming back a guest that we had on quite recently, episode 321. Black Eyed Entity. It was a scary episode, very, very freaky. And that was Wade Lovin, absolute legend. The best name I think I've ever heard. The coolest dude. I mean, I know most of you are listening right now, probably so. You can't see how cool he looks right now in his Turtles tee. That is cool,
Oh,
my brother. I'm loving that. For the people on YouTube, they're seeing it, but it is cool, man.
beautiful. I love it.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was my jam, brother.
Yeah. Oh,
The
yeah. Seen all the
best.
movies, everything.
Yeah, I had all the figures. I had all the figures, and they're all gone now, and it breaks my heart. I think about them quite a lot, along with my Pokemon cards and my Turtles toys, and all these great things that I now want back that we threw away when we were teenagers.
We didn't know what we were throwing away.
We didn't know, man. We didn't know. We didn't realize. But here we are. Now we're buying it again on eBay. But I am anyway. I am anyway. How you been, brother? Thank you so much for coming back, man.
I've been good. I've been good since we last chatted. So ready to continue, I guess, if you will,
Yes.
on strange happenings.
Yes, man. So last time you was on, you shared a couple of wild encounters that you had, and you gave us a little teaser. There was a little teaser in there that something else big had happened, but we ran out of time. So I am, and I've been very excited. I don't know what it's going to be. I've been very excited to hear it since we last talked. So, shall we get into straight into that encounter? What happened, man?
All right. Well, we'll get straight into it there. Like I said, I've been involved in paranormal for a while. Like I said, rather I was looking for it or not looking for it. Like I said, it's always the wild encounters always seem to happen to me when I'm not looking for it, as opposed to doing the investigations that I have done in my past. But yeah, I had one encounter. I had a pit bull. His name was Rocky, who has since passed. But he was a very special dog to me, and I would take this dog everywhere with me, adventures, walks. Um, I'm a third shifter, so just to give people an idea why sometimes I go out late at night with my dog. I always do late night walks. Like I've gone out 1, 2 o'clock in the morning with my dog and gone on walks. Uh, and again, it's just because I'm used to being up that hour, and I kind of like it. Going on walks with your dog when you're a third shifter that late at night, it's very peaceful. You don't have to worry about traffic, people, other dogs, anything like that. Sometimes, we would go out on walking trails out in the woods and stuff like that. Other times, neighborhoods. Well, on this encounter, we went on a hiking trail that cuts through woods. It's a good path. It's like a beginner path. Like it's what would you call it? Concrete path. So I mean, it's an easy path to follow, but it's a lengthy path. That's why I chose it for my dog because it's at night. It's an easy path, and it can be a long path. So we're out on the trail. We're walking, and everything's going fine. And then I think I hear what sounds like footsteps coming up behind me. I kind of stop and look behind me, and of course, nothing's there. And I kind of just shake it off. It could be an animal. We're out in the woods, whatever. Maybe I didn't see it. And then I go to continue the walk. And this time I hear some rustling off to the side of me. And even my dog seems to hear it this time. And again, we're kind of looking off, looking for an animal. I do have a flashlight with me. Forgot to mention that. I shine my light over there, because this is off to the side and everything. I'm not seeing nothing, not hearing any more rustling or anything. And I'm like, this could be an animal or whatever, but it started out behind me. Now it's kind of to the side of me. It kind of feels like it's following me, which is a little unusual, but whatever. I go to take off again and I start walking and I don't hear nothing, but my dog freezes up. And my dog doesn't do that. It it stops cold. It's not barking. He won't move. He's not looking at me when I call his name. He's dead focused on something on the side. And I shine my light over there and I don't see nothing. And I keep calling to him, Rock. I mean, we got to keep going, buddy. He just didn't want to move. He did not want to move from that spot, which is not like my dog whatsoever. And I went down to kind of pet him to calm him down, and he kind of jumped, and it's like it shook him out of it, and then started wagging his tail, and then we went to continue to walk, and I happened to glance over one more time, and I thought I seen something duck behind a tree that was standing upright, and that kind of it sent the shiver up the spine immediately because I'm like, that didn't look like an animal, and it didn't make a noise, and I literally seen something duck behind a tree in the direction where my dog was looking. So I actually walked over towards there because I'm like, no, I got to go check this out now. I'm not just gonna let that go. And I went over by the tree, shining the light in the woods and everything, and I didn't see nothing. And so I get back out on the path and go to walk up, and then I would say maybe 30 yards in front of me, I see something dart across the path. Some dark entity from right to left, just real quickly dart across. And again, it was like standing upright, bipedal. Just quickly dart across, but it didn't make a noise again. So that, and again, it seemed like my dog seen that. My dog froze again. And then, of course, I froze because I just seen that. And at that point, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. We've taken this path before. This kind of things doesn't really happen to me. And so we decided to turn around and go back. And, long story short, I didn't see nothing again, but I kept hearing footsteps on the way back to the car the whole time. Rather, it was right behind me, to the left of me, to the right of me. We kept hearing it. My dog would freeze every once in a while, and we pretty much just got out of there. But like I said, what stood out to me was when it crossed paths in front of me, like 30 yards out, because I was looking directly forward. And this wasn't out of the corner of my eye. You seen it directly in front of me do it. And so that's when I decided to turn around. All the other stuff, like I said, I could maybe even say it was an animal or just some, natural noises occurring. But when I seen something dart behind the tree out of the corner of my eye, and then I seen it pass directly in front of me, that's what made me turn around, because it's like, I'm not looking for this tonight. This is, I don't want this tonight. I don't want no part of it. I'm just trying to walk my dog. And so that really stood out to me because it was tall and it was fast. Like, I would say this was over 6 feet tall at least, and it moved unnaturally quick. So, and it didn't make noise. So, like I said, that when it crossed my path, we ain't talking about it like a little narrow path. Like, it's probably a good at least 10-foot wide path. So it's just, and if I would have blinked, I basically would have missed it passed in front of me. I mean, that's how quick it was moving. And so like I said, that shook me up pretty good, and it's all I basically thought about the rest of the night. Back to my car, and I just went back to my house, and unfortunately, that cut my night short. But that was one incident, another incident that really stuck with me because, again, it's like I said, it's those incidences that you don't look for it or don't expect something that really stick with you.
Absolutely. I find for me anyway, that's normally when things have happened is when you're not thinking about this kind of stuff, and it shocks you. Wow, man. So, I know you said it was about 6 foot tall. Did you get like the shape of this creature, entity, whatever it was?
It did look somewhat humanoid. Um, like I said, it happened so quick. I know it was tall and I know it was upright. Like it wasn't like four legged or whatever, like an animal normally would be. And it was too big to be an animal. It's just like I don't know of too many animals outside like a horse or something like that
Hmm.
that stand, up to 6 feet tall on four legs. So yeah, it was two legged and it was really tall, and just the posture of it, because it seemed like it was looking right at me as it was. I know it happened quick, and it was featureless, so it was just a dark shape, so it was hard to get any features out of it, but it seemed square to me as it was moving side to side, like it was somehow looking at me while going side to side. And so I thought of it as an unnatural posture, which is what kind of creeped me out about it, because it's
Hmm.
just like you shouldn't be moving, like not only shouldn't it be moving that fast, but it shouldn't be moving like that, you know.
Wow, man. Was that the first time you'd had any experience like that in this area?
Yes, and on that path, I've taken that path many times. um I've never felt, and even at night, because like I said, walking at night doesn't bother me. Like maybe some other people, just being out at night might shake you up a bit. Well, it really doesn't me at all. It doesn't bother me in the least bit. It's just like if I were to walk out in the afternoon for a walk.
Hmm.
It doesn't bother me in the least bit. So nothing like that's ever really uh, happened on at that site where I was walking with the dog.
Man, was this
And my dog never reacted like that either, because it wasn't just me. My dog seemed to react to this as well and pick up on whatever this was.
man? I have to say, I had a very similar experience with my dog, and it was in the forest that we've got behind our house, which has got, I've talked about it on the show before, a devil dog law. The people claim to see, a dogman type creature. It's been in books and stuff, and it's, locally it's like a known story. I didn't know about it when I first moved here, and a few weird things happened that probably could be maybe related to it, maybe not. I'm not saying definitely, but there was two occasions. One where I was there and I was with the kids and the wife, where it was during the day, and we go to the forest every day. Even to this day, I go there every day. I love it. But there's been some weird stuff that's happened there. And on this particular day, it was me, the kids, and my wife. We're walking through the forest with my dog, and like your dog, he's fearless. He's a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, so he's a little pit bull, but he's not scared of anything. He's not scared of people. Other dogs. There's like wild bulls in the forest and stuff like that. He's not worried about these things. He'd quite happily play with anything or anyone. But we're walking down this path that we'd been on before. It wasn't a different part of the forest. We've been on this path before, and we're going along. All of a sudden, my dog, who's like leading the way, he's at the front. He's on a lead, but he stopped and he's backtracking. It's like he's seen something, sensed something, and he's freaked out. And I'm like, Blue, what's the matter, man? He's because he's like your dog, very out of character. He's not done this before. He's backing up. It's like something's there, like he can sense something or see something. We can't see a thing. And it's daytime. Obviously there's a lot of trees around, but we couldn't see anything. I physically had to pick him up and walked through this area, put him back down, and then he was fine. There was just something there that he didn't like, and he was terrified. He was very scared, very out of character, and I've never seen him do that again. My wife took him out a little while after that with her friend and the kids, and it was late at night, and they didn't go far into the forest, but they'd gone. It was dark. They'd gone into a little bit of the forest, and he freaked out at another situation where, very out of character, same kind of thing, backing up, like he could see something, and the kids, the wife, nobody saw anything. Nobody could work out what it was that was freaking him out. So I kind of put it towards maybe there was something there that he could see that we couldn't see. Very strange, man. So dogs,
Yeah,
we're not.
that's what I was gonna say. Sometimes, and it's hard to describe, and your dogs seem to be more sensitive to it. It's what's hard to describe on these videos is even if you don't necessarily see something or even hear it, it's the presence. Like you
Mhm.
can feel it. Like there is something that's not natural that is off right here. And did you feel that way with your dog? Like when your dog was like that, did you have any type of feeling yourself?
When he started freaking out, it freaked us all out a little bit because it was so out of character for him to do that. And as I say, he
Yeah.
does sometimes get scared of noises in the house that he doesn't recognize, fireworks, for example, and things like that do scare him now. But at this time, he was like fearless little puppy, basically. I think he was around a year old, might have been a little bit older, I'm not sure, but he was not scared of people or anything, and he was just very out of character. And we couldn't work out what it was. So I've gone past this area where he's freaked out, and actually I said to the wife, I'm going to go back because I need to see if there's something there. I need to see if there's something that he's seeing. I don't know. We didn't know what it was, and I couldn't find anything that would make a dog scared. And there might have been a smell, certain smell. I don't know, but it was like he was reacting to something that we just couldn't see, or maybe I don't know. I don't know what it was, but it's very strange, man. So it
Very
did it
strange.
did
Like I
freak
said,
me out.
when you see a dog pick up on something like that and freeze, like I said, I always pay attention to that. It doesn't happen that often, but it's happened a few times with dogs I've had. And to me, that almost makes me more nervous in a way because, like what you said, like a lot of my dogs have been like what you described, fearless. Um, like I could take them out on the 4th of July on a walk with fireworks going off, and they'll act like nothing's even happening. Like they're so when they react to it, especially if they make audible noises like whimper or bark, it to me that all and if I can't see nothing, like to me that really does kind of freak me out because it's just like, you know, makes you pay attention because it's like, look, a dog ain't gonna do this for like literally no reason because
Hmm.
it's bored. It's feeling something. It's genuinely feeling. That's why it's reacting the way it's reacting. It's on guard, and a dog's not gonna go on guard unless it senses something wrong.
Hmm. Absolutely,
You know.
absolutely.
And so if I was you, yeah, my dog was reacting that way, especially backing up. I mean, that's gonna freak me out if I'm not seeing nothing. I
Hmm.
mean,
It's very strange because he was clearly seeing, sensing something that deeply scared him. So what is that? And I'm kind of in the camp at the moment with cryptids, dogman, Sasquatch, and things like that. I do think there are flesh and blood creatures out there that we've yet to discover, but I also think that with a lot of these things, there's a supernatural element to them, and that's why possibly, you know, obviously ghosts haunt houses. Do we have these entities in the forest that are haunting the forest, and they're similar to like, you know, and maybe why we get mixed up with Bigfoot stuff and the woo side and the flesh and blood side, and I think there's something to these creatures in some cases being supernatural.
well, yeah, and I would tend to agree with you because I think that's where a lot of the times it can be confusing, and being confusing can also be scary because you hear, especially in like densely wooded areas, rather it's hauntings like rather you see entities there or cryptids. It's just like, what are you really seeing? Because let's face it, being in the woods at night can be disorienting. I mean, it can be confusing and hard to pick up what you're really hearing or seeing. So that's always going to make you naturally nervous. So it's just like I said, I've had my own experiences in the woods, and it's almost like I would almost rather go during the day just so it's not as disorienting, so I can be more focused. Because at night, like I said, nighttime don't bother me, but it's just it can be a lot tougher to pick up things,
Hmm.
and be like, is this a natural creature? Is this a cryptid? Is this a supernatural type haunting of the woods? Did something happen in this woods that could cause a haunting?
Hmm.
Because you also hear about properties and areas that are being haunted. That's not home. That's not your typical house.
Hmm.
On the block. So yeah, it's woods can be something else, and I've had experience with lights that I've seen in the woods. Um, just these energy bursts in the woods that surround these lights. Um, I remember being in the woods by myself, going out, and off in the distance, I just see just it's hard to describe. It's like somebody turned on their high beams on a car, but it's in the air, and you're not hearing nothing. You're not really seeing nothing but this bright light, and as quick as you see it, you kind of see it slowly. I seen it like slowly start to sink away from me and then zip off. And I didn't hear a single sound, not one sound, but yet I'm seeing this bright light hover just above the tree line, but away from me, so I can't make out what's causing this light. And as I'm walking towards it, it seems to be going away from me slowly, and then it just zip off. And so it was a very short, quick encounter with this light. It happened out of nowhere because, like I said, it wasn't like a gradual light, like you've seen it slowly come up or get brighter. It just boom, bright light out of nowhere. And that's why obviously this happened at night. And that's why it's hard. It's like, okay, so what am I seeing right here? Like, I can't even classify this as anything. I don't hear it. I can't make out what's causing this light, and the way it zipped away from me, just again, it's unnatural. That's the only way you can describe it. This is not a natural thing that seems to be occurring in front of me, and I don't know what to classify this as. I mean, I still don't know what to classify it as. I just know it was an unnatural encounter that I came across in the woods that involved a bright light.
Was that the same? Was that the same forest as the?
It was different. It was a different. This one was in Iowa, and the one with my dog Rock was in Illinois.
Oh,
So
okay,
this one that I went to that was at night was in Iowa.
okay, man. Yeah, these. I mean, these lights sometimes they get correlated with like cryptid experiences as well. People sometimes say they see a Bigfoot and then they see the lights. That happens quite a lot. You hear that as well. It is wild, man. When you see something like that you just can't explain, and it's not a natural. Nothing moves like that. Nothing can just shoot off into the sky that we know of. And once you see something like that, it's like everything changes, man. I know you've had experiences when you was a kid as well, and you're open to this kind of stuff anyway.
Yeah,
That you
and like kind of and that's what I mean, like, because you don't want to say, because you don't want to sound crazy, and it's just like what you said. Could it be a cryptid? Could it be an alien UFO type situation? Could it be and a haunting of some sort. It's just like I don't even know what three of the three it could be, because this wasn't eye level with me. This wasn't, you know, just something directly in front of me. This was in the air, kind of off in the distance. And like I said, I'm out in the woods. This ain't like I'm right by a highway or something, and it just boom, bright lights, like somebody like flipped on a light switch, but it was in the sky. And so, like I said, it froze me for a moment and it wasn't moving. And it only seemed to move when I was moving. Then the light would move. And like I said, I started going towards it and it seemed like it would slowly start to go away from me. And it did this for like a quick hot minute. And then it just, all right, I'm gone. And just zoomed out and then the light disappeared. So it's like, and that's what I still to this day, I look back at it and it's like, what was that? Like, what do I even say that was? If I like telling the story now, I wondered how I would tell the story. And it's just like, how am I going to describe what this even was? Because I'm not even sure what I just seen,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm. You just
I
know
still
it was
don't
something unnatural.
exactly. And, you can't think of too many things that would be a bright light in the sky
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
the middle of the night, you know?
What did you get a rough estimate of the size? I know it's difficult when you're looking at something in the sky to.
It seemed like a good size at least. The reason I would say that is because when the light first came on, I kind of had to look away and shield my eyes.
Whoa.
When it came on, I kind of did one of those numbers and then was looking up at it like this, is trying to, and I couldn't fully block out the light. Like, and it was just like, okay, that's a little bright. What the heck is that? And then, like I said, when I would walk forward, it seemed like it would either get dimmer or start to go away from me. And it was it was genuinely hard to tell. But I figured it was going away from me because as I kept walking, then you just seen it zoom away. In the opposite direct, like in the same direction I was walking, it like zoomed away from me and just disappeared.
What do you think it was like interacting with you in a way, like checking you out?
It kind of seemed like that. Like, was it's weird to say, but it's like, was that light like meant for me? Like, was that a light of like shining on me? Like they were like whatever it was almost like, well, what are you?
Yeah.
Type of thing. You know, it was it was startling, it was bright, it was unexpected. I mean, it left me again shook because it's not I've never encountered anything like that before or since. So it's hard to compare it to even anything because it not only happened so quick but so unexpectedly, and it just kind of left me with so many questions. Like I literally don't even know how to categorize what just happened to me. Like I don't
Hmm.
even know how to say what it is that just happened. Besides, I seem to be observed by a light, a bright light, and then it's like once it like took notice of me, as quick as it did, it was gone. So, and like I said, you're hesitant to even say anything of the UFO variety because there was no noise.
Hmm.
There wasn't even a hum. There was nothing. I mean, it was literally just a light. You didn't hear like even rustling of leaves.
Hmm.
Like it was actually eerily quiet. Like there was no wind that night, nothing. It was just a calm summer night.
Hmm.
And just out of nowhere, it was like somebody just turned on a bright light and shined it in my face. But it was off in the distance. That's how bright the light was,
Hmm.
you know. And it was off the ground just above the tree line.
So it's quite
So
close to you as well, really, if it's just above the tree line.
Yeah. And
You,
so, yeah, like I said, that was obviously something that's always stuck with me because I've never experienced anything like that. I don't know what to say that was, or I haven't had nothing happen to me like that since. I've never even really, this is the first time I've ever really said this out loud because I didn't even want to tell anybody about it.
hmm
I just wanted to keep that one to myself because, like I said, I didn't know what happened. I didn't know what to say happened even.
hmm
So this is literally like the first time I've even said this out loud, what it was.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you for sharing it, man. This is a safe place to share experience like that. I've had experiences like that myself where I've seen something that is wild that I don't know what it is. I sometimes put these things in like a UFO category. Again, we don't know what these things are. I guess if it's in the sky and it's something unknown, it's a UFO, and but who knows what these things are, man. You didn't have any missing time or anything like that?
Pardon?
Any missing time or anything like that? Did you notice the time when you saw this thing?
Oh, well, I know it was after midnight. It wasn't it wasn't too much after midnight because like I said, I do a lot of nighttime hiking and stuff like that. And so I try not to stay out too late. Um, but I know this was after midnight. I would say between midnight and 2 a.m. Because, like I said, this was a little bit ago.
hmm
So I don't know I don't have an exact time, but I do know it would be after midnight, but probably before the 2 a.m. hour because I would only stay out, like a few hours at a time.
hmm hmm
So, yeah, if I had to give an estimation, I would say this occurred between midnight and 2 a.m.
Interesting, man. Yeah, I've talked to many people that have seen these lights in the forest. That you can't. It's not a plane. It's not a plane. It's not a drone. You'd hear a drone. You'd hear a plane. You'd hear a helicopter. Um, and it's very close. It's not even in the sky. You say it's above the tree line. That's what is that?
Yeah, and it's just like it's hard to even gauge the size because of the brightness of the light. You want to say it's bigger, but then how big can it really be? I mean, it
hmm
like you said, you can't make it out, and it's just above the tree line, just out in front of you a little bit, and it's just like it zooms off. So it's like, is this like the size of a vehicle, or is this bigger than that? Like, or what am I seeing? Just
hmm
I don't know. And that's probably what frustrated me the most out of this was not being able to tell what the source of this light was or how big or small it was. Because the light was just too bright to make out anything.
hmm
And so and it was like a white bright light, and it was almost meant to like blind me, it seemed like, because it's just like there's nothing out here that should be this bright that's making me look away, but yet the confusing thing is it's not making noise. So why isn't it making noise? How is it moving? How is it producing this bright of a light? And like I said, it just leaves you with way more questions than answers. And
hmm
I have no answers to any of these questions. I don't even have an idea to the answer of these questions.
hmm
It's like what would it's like that, and that I would almost challenge anybody else. It's like, what would you call that? I
hmm
mean, what would classify what I just experienced as, like,
Yeah,
besides unnatural, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, I'd put it more into the UFO category, but as you say, who knows? Who knows? I mean, the word UFO can go very far. It can mean many different things.
Exactly.
So it is very difficult. How did it make you feel in that moment? Was it fear? Was it just confusion? What was the vibe?
I wouldn't say fear. I would definitely say confusion and curiosity. I was confused on what could possibly be doing this, and then again, curious because I want to know what's doing this, what's causing this.
Hmm.
Um, so those were the two biggest things that I would say to describe my feelings is confusion and curiosity because even after it zipped off, like I stayed in the same spot, just kind of like looking up and around me and like still just like what the hell was that?
Hmm.
Like I didn't even it just left me so unsure of myself and confused, and it's just like that literally made no sense what just happened to me. Like
Hmm.
that I've got nothing, and it's concerning. You just because nobody likes feeling that way, like you're crazy or like confused, like it's a very unsettling feeling,
Hmm.
I would
Absolutely,
say.
man. So many people have these experiences though, and we're all just trying to work out. I don't know if we're ever going to get the answers to a lot of these things. I don't know, but so many people do have these experiences, and it does leave you just knowing that there is more. What it is, we don't know, but there is more going on. Were you close to? Do you know if you're close to any military bases or anything like that?
No, not that I'm aware of. Yeah, I can't think of any military base where that would be by, or even airport where that would be by.
Hmm.
Like I said, this was more of a nature type. Like it's meant to be like out in nature, basically out in the middle of nowhere. So it's yeah, like I said, it's not even by a highway.
Hmm.
So no, I can't think of any areas where it would be by that would cause that type of light to
Hmm.
occur, you know.
Interesting, interesting stuff, man. I want to go back to your encounter when you saw the figure. What do you think that was? Because my mind's going straight to like Bigfoot. What are you thinking that was?
Oh, the dark object when I was walking with my dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this, like I said, it's hard to describe it. No, I didn't see any distinct features. I just knew it was big and tall, and it moved quickly. Um, like I said, rather it was an actual living thing. I don't know because it's just like your mind's almost scared of that answer because it's just like, okay, if this was a living thing stalking me, was I in danger? Did this thing want to possibly hurt me or harm me? But then you could say the same thing if it's unnatural, if it's an entity that's haunting the area. Does this entity want to cause me harm? Why is it stalking me? Is it just curious or and like I said, the unsettling thing was it's like it only made noise if it wanted me to hear it. It seemed like because when I actually would put eyes on it, when it ducked behind the tree, when it crossed in front of me, there was no noise. But I would hear footsteps coming up behind me, and when I would look, nothing would be there, and I would hear stuff to the left and to the right of me that was in the woods. But I just couldn't lay my eyes on anything at the time. And
Hmm.
so it was able to evade my flashlight and evade my sight when I heard it, but the times I didn't hear it, I actually seen it. So that's the weird part. It's just like how come I couldn't hear it? I should have been able to hear it, if it left that tree when it ducked behind it. I should have been able to hear something run across the path, and I didn't. So, which you do hear, when it comes to cryptids, how stealthy they can be, how they can appear to not make noise when it wants to, and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So it's just, yeah, one of those encounters. Like I said, I couldn't tell you if that was a living thing, but it didn't seem like any animal. It did not seem like a natural animal to that habitat,
Hmm.
you know.
Hmm.
So
I
that's
mean,
about the only thing I can come up with.
yeah, it fits the description of Bigfoot activity. And a lot of it sounds like a lot of encounters that people have with these creatures, and it normally is a crossing, a glimpse that people get, the ducking behind the tree, the feeling that you felt, the hearing the footsteps, the fact that your dog's aware of this entity, creature, whatever it is as well. It speaks a lot, because when you're in the woods, as you say, you can get disorientated. You can make yourself hear and see things that you may not. But when your dog's freaking out as well, it sort of it makes it even more, this is real. My dog, as you say, your dog's not going to act scared for no reason, especially a pit bull. These things are fearless. So yeah, yeah, I mean, it sounds like a Bigfoot encounter for sure.
And like I said, that was from 30 yards away. Like I said, when it was by the tree, like this thing, I say it was easily over 6 foot. That's easy.
Hmm.
So it's like, I don't know how big this actually was, but if I could see from the quick glimpses of it ducking behind the tree and running 30 yards out in front of me, like I said, it could be bigger. But if you like forced me to give you a number, all I could tell you was this thing is above 6 foot. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's bigger than 6 foot, and it was big. It wasn't just tall, like a thin, lanky. It was big
Hmm.
and darted out in front of me. And yeah, like I said, the way it was kind of oriented towards me and the way it was moving, it was very unnerving. So it's just, and like I said, maybe was it my dog the reason I didn't have a more up close encounter? Maybe if I was by myself, would this thing have made itself more known? Maybe it was nervous of the dog too, as much as the dog was nervous. Um, because like I said, it's always a curiosity with animals. It always makes it just like, because my pit bull, even if it's nervous, it is the type of dog that's going to defend me. If
Hmm.
it feels like there's a threat around. So, um, like I said, maybe whatever was following me was picking that up as well. But
Man.
yeah, it was just really unnerving because I know my dog was experiencing the same things I was, that it wasn't just me or even another person. This is my dog. My dog ain't going to pretend or act or do this for no reason.
Hmm.
It's a dog. It's
Hmm.
going to react to the environment around it and what it senses, smells, and sees.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what put me on alert when I couldn't move my dog, when it wouldn't respond to its name. Um, that's what makes me nervous, and that's
Hmm.
what puts me on high alert. Like there's got to be something around. I don't know what it is, but my dog's not going to be like this unless there's actually something around here that's following me. So it's that's the part that's unnerving, and why I felt the need to turn around when ordinarily I probably wouldn't have.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That says a lot as well. That gut feeling you have to get out of there. I think it's important that we listen to that. You know, our gut feelings don't normally let us down. I would exactly the same. As much as you want to, I mean, I think I'd have been gone as well. You say a lot of people say it when if you come across one of these creatures, you're going to run to it and try and get that picture. No, I don't think you will. I think you're like you. I'd be gone, man. So yeah.
And there's not too many instances where I do that. It's
Hmm.
very rare. Just like I said, that first instance with the dark eyed entity, because again, that was my first experience ever, and I was a kid, But as an adult, when it's came to this thing, especially when investigating myself, I am the type that would run towards more so than run away.
Hmm.
So if I have, like that night, I had an overwhelming feeling of you need to get your dog and go. Like your dog's not reacting well. This walk is no longer enjoyable. You need to get your dog. If that means you got to pick it up and you need to get back to your car, And I like what you said. I listened to that gut feeling to where it's just like, this isn't the night for this. I gotta go. Like
Hmm.
I'm not trying to do anything here. I don't want to. I just wanted to enjoy a walk. That's obviously not going to happen now. Something is following me. I need to go. That's the end of this walk.
Hmm. That area that you was in is it known for any cryptid activity, Bigfoot? Is there any other sightings that you know of in that area?
Not to my knowledge. Again, that's why I always took that path because it's always a peaceful path. Whether it's at night or during the day, I've never had anybody tell me anything about it. I never really researched it like that, but in my experience, like I said, that was my only experience on that path. I even went back to it since that day, and like I said, no feelings of being watched or dread or any of that. That was the only time that I sensed something might be following me, and it's a potential to be dangerous.
Hmm.
So that was the only time I got that feeling. And so that's why I listened to that feeling as well, because I was like, this is not normal to this pathway, this walk. I didn't take this pathway to run into something like this. I wanted a peaceful, nice, easy walk. I didn't want to encounter anything.
Hmm.
So um yeah, that's what's left again. It just does. It makes you wonder what was going on that night. Maybe that thing that was in there was even lost, or like, okay, because it just seemed weird because it seemed to be aware and it seemed to be following me, but I don't know how to describe it because it seemed like it could have made itself more known to me at times, and definitely could have made its presence more known and felt, but it was almost like it was on guard as well.
Hmm.
And like I said, I don't know if that was because I was with my dog or what, but it was definitely a night that like I said, stuck with me, and that I have definitely not forgotten about, and I've not encountered something like that, especially in that area, like I did that night.
Hmm. Interesting, man. What do you think? It's a difficult question, but what do you think a Bigfoot is in your opinion?
To me, it can be a couple of different things. It could be natural to the area. I mean, that is something that I have done some research. I'm nowhere near an expert, so I don't want people to think like I'm a cryptid or Bigfoot expert. I'm not. I do have a curiosity, and I have researched a little. I do know that Bigfoot type sightings even date back towards the Civil War in this country. I have seen actual footage of Civil Wars, like a soldier's, what do you call it, like journal or notebook. They didn't call it a Bigfoot back then. I forgot what they called it because it's been such a long time. They
Hairy
called it
man,
a, uh,
hairy man, stuff, something like
yeah,
that.
I think I've heard hairy man before, um, to where they would describe an ape-like giant creature that walked around on two legs. Um, One went into detail where it there was a guy on night watch that was taken, and one of the witnesses said it seemed like it was taken by one of those hairy men type thing. So it's just like, so these things date clear back that far towards the Civil War, and so it's just like if these seem natural um, to this place, but at the same time unnatural because it's just like, where do they come from? How do they stay hidden so well? And they obviously got to be expert, uh, what do you call it? Like stealth. They
Mm-hmm.
got to be experts in that, for especially for their size. How they're able to sneak around and surprise people and get away so quickly without seemingly leaving a trace. Um, so it's just like, a part of me wants to say, if the Bigfoot is real, it tends to be more natural than alien like. Um, but they do seem to have some type of intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. They do have an intelligence, an awareness, and cautious enough to be like, stay away from humans, almost like they want to stay away from us just as much as we want to locate them, almost. So it's, yeah, if I were to categorize it, I would say they're natural to our environment, but it's there's still just so many questions, like how far back do they go? Like, yeah, you got through that time of the Civil War and stuff, but like, how far back does it actually go? Like, truly, when sightings first happen, like, I would like to know, like, did indigenous people, like Native Americans,
Mm-hmm.
you know, before people came to America, you know, uh, pilgrims and stuff of that nature, like, because they would have to be natural to this area for centuries, you would think.
Mm-hmm.
So if they are natural creatures, they've been here for almost longer than us, if not the same,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
And they go back, Native American, different tribes have different names for these creatures, and they appear all over the world, which is something I find so interesting. They're reported all over the world. They might have a different name, but they're described, their mannerisms, everything is exactly the same. Before the age that we're in now, where the whole world is connected, how were people reporting the same things in all different parts of the world, unless we were a lot more connected than we think we were back thousands of years ago. That's another story. But these creatures have popped up in our culture forever. And as you say, Native Americans, a big part of their culture as well. So it is fascinating, man. These things have always been there. What they are, we
And
don't know.
environments too, because you've heard stories from wooded areas to like out in desert like climates to even like snow, like the quote unquote abominable snowman,
Hmm.
so it's not, it's just they seem to adapt to any type of environment. And it's just like, okay, are they do they travel, do they stay to one area, do they migrate? It's just because the different environments they are spotted at and talked about, it also piques the curiosity, because it's like, how many different types of these quote unquote Bigfoots are there, or are they just always on the move? Like, they migrate and can adapt to any environment that they're in,
Hmm.
for it again, you're always, it always seems like you're left with more questions than answers when it comes to these.
Hmm. Absolutely, man. But like you, so many people have these experiences, and they're a lot more common than we think they are. That's the thing as well. People, as you say, don't always want to share this stuff, because criticism, and you get that look when you talk about the paranormal sometime. But the truth is, most people have had some sort of experience that they cannot explain. This world is a lot more stranger than we think it is. That is for sure. You reminded me of something else that happened when I was living at my dad's house when I was a bit younger. Me and my brother one night we used to stay up really late watching TV all through the night, and we had like two couches in our front room, and our dog Stan, who was a Staffordshire Bull Terrier as well, fearless, another fearless Staffy, he would like sleep in the middle of me and my brother on the couch. And there was this one night, and not too much happened in this house. There was a few weird things, but one night the dog was sound asleep. Me and my brother were watching TV. The dog woke up, Stan, a lovely dog, and he looked at the couch, the other couch, where no one was sitting, and all of a sudden he just went like growling, which was, very strange. He could see something, man, and he ran at the couch, and he jumped on the couch, and he was like, you could see he was sort of like, where's it gone? That's what he was. It was so strange. It was so out of character, and he only did that the one time that in that situation. But again, it was like he was seeing something there that obviously we couldn't see, and he was very aggressive towards it. It was very strange. Another characteristic that we just didn't recognize in the dog. At the time.
Which kind of reminds me of a story I had with again, another one of my dogs that was a lab, a yellow lab, in my mom's house. I had my bed in there, and I was going to sleep, and I was woke up with what I thought was my dog, like, laying on my foot. I felt something on my foot, and even felt some resistance as I was trying to kick it off, like, all right, get it off my foot. I'm trying to sleep. And then I heard my dog whimper, kind of cry, but it wasn't on the bed. It was off the bed, on the ground, by my head. And my dog was whimpering at me. I was just like, Zoe. And then I looked down at my foot, and then that's when the pressure went off my foot, and there was nothing down on my bed. So that, like I said, that reminded me. It was almost, I felt like my dog, like, trying to alert me or warn me, like, that's not me on you. I don't know if it sensed it too, but it was like my dog trying to alert me, like, hey, there's something on you that's not me, type of thing. And it always made me curious, because my dog doesn't just whimper.
Hmm.
I can say, hey, get off me or something. Like, my dog's not going to whimper, you know. So, like I said, I was trying to shake what I thought at the time was my dog off my foot, because it was like holding my foot down to where I couldn't hardly move it. And my dog always sleeps in the bed with me. So, of course, I'm going to think it's my dog, But when I became oriented and more awake, and I heard my dog whimpering off the bed next to me, that's what's like, wait, my dog's not in the bed with me. And it's like, right when I come to that realization that the dog's not with me on the bed, that's when the pressure is gone, So, and I'm able to move my foot again. So that
Whoa.
was really a curious night for me. Like, something seemed to be holding down my foot that wasn't my dog.
and your dog could sense it and was, yeah, either see it or trying to tell you that something was there. Whoa.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
whimpering.
man.
I don't. It was weird because it was like one of those like whimper cry bark things. It's hard to imitate, but those high pitched like little barks, like
Hmm.
like almost like my dog was scared too,
Yeah.
because this the lab. This wasn't like my pit bull. At the time, it was me and my mom kind of had a dog, but it was more of my mom's dog, and she would sleep with me when I was over there, and yeah, it was almost like she was trying to tell me like either that's not me or there's like something on you that's not me. Like, dude, that's it was weird. It was just the whole episode was weird, not just because something was holding down on my foot, but just the way the dog was reacting to whatever was going on in that room at the time.
We know our pets. We know when our pets are acting strange, out of character. And it does seem that cats and dogs, like kids in a lot of ways, are open to this stuff. They're not told that ghosts and, things are not real. They're open to everything. So they see things that often our adult brains have sort of pushed away, I think. But there was a time when my nan and granddad were staying in a hotel. I can't remember where it was. It might have been in Devon, which is quite a spooky place. They had a lot of weird stuff going on down there. Lovely place, but spooky. And they were staying in a hotel, and they had two dogs. They had a border collie and a Jack Russell. You know what Jack Russells are like? They're little dogs, but they're mental. Lovely dogs. But my nan and granddad were staying in this hotel.
you
Was
know
Yeah.
yeah, Jack Russell, they think they're the biggest dog on the block. Kind of remind me of a bigger Chihuahua. They just think they're the biggest dogs on the block, and they're just like, you're not though.
They've got like the small man syndrome, haven't they? They've got like that. The big dude. I take you on, man.
Like going up to a pit bull, you ain't nothing. I
Yeah,
got you. It's like, no, tear you up, get away.
absolutely, absolutely. But my nan's chat was he was all night looking in the corner of the room, like growling. And I guess you could say they were in a hotel, so maybe he just wasn't used to his surroundings, and maybe there was something behind the wall, or he could hear something that they couldn't hear. But they found it very strange. They got a weird feeling as well. But the dog was literally the whole night in the corner of the room, just seemingly nothing there. Very weird. So they pick up on these things, man. And yeah, it's freaky. That's very freaky. You said you had. Sorry, man.
No, go ahead.
I
No,
was going to say, I know
you.
we're coming to our hour mark, and I said I wouldn't keep you longer than an hour. But I've got to ask you. You said recently you had another paranormal experience. Have you got time to share that?
Yeah, we'll share this one and then we'll wrap up. To go along, if you guys remember from last episode, I shared an experience at my workplace of seeing feet. Well, recently, I had another strange occurrence happen to me at my workplace. It wasn't really visual, it was auditory. This was dealing with noises, but it's how this ramped up and occurred because each occurrence was more and more and more. It was like a build up, but it built up to nothing, which was the strange part. But I was at work, and like I said, when there's nothing going on, when there's a little downtime, and I'm taking a little break, I often will go in the kitchen and just kind of like scroll through my phone and stuff like that. So again, I was in the kitchen pretty much in the same spot where I seen the feet. And I was scrolling through my phone and I heard what sounded like papers rustling or something like that. Maybe like a paper fell on the floor or something. And right outside of the kitchen in the dining room, we do got a bulletin board, and it does have papers on it. And I kind of looked out because I was like, must be something there. And I looked out, nothing was moving, nothing fell to the floor. The papers were still. Like I said, no movement. And I kind of just looked around the area to make sure, there was no fans going, nothing of that nature. Um, and so I was just like, all right, well, I'll just, I don't know what that was, but I don't think that was anything to concern myself about. So I went back to my phone, and probably literally like a minute or two later, I hear the same noise, but it's a little more intense. And this time I do hear what sounds like papers for sure fall to the floor. Not just like one, but like a couple. And I'm like, okay, that time something happened. And I went back out again to the bulletin board. Again, the papers were exactly where they were the first time. Nothing was on the floor. I even looked in the other room outside of the dining room just to make sure, well, maybe I'm hearing something in there and it just sounds like it's coming from the dining room. Nothing out of place out there, nothing on the floor. And then I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm just, going to ignore it, and it's nothing. And so I went back into the kitchen to scroll through my phone again. And again, a couple minutes later, now I hear intense noise of rustling of papers and what sounded like a wood beam just fall and smack the floor. And it made a loud clap noise as it hit tile, like a wood beam would hit a tile floor. And I was like, no, no, that's something. That's not nothing. I immediately walk out there just a split second after I hear what sounded like a wood beam hit the floor. Again, nothing on the floor, nothing out of place, nothing falling off a shelf, nothing out of place on the bulletin board. Go to the other room. Again, not one thing is out of place. Nothing on the floor anywhere. And I didn't go back to the kitchen after that. I stayed out in the dining room and just kind of kept looking around, listening for things. And I probably did that for about 15 minutes. And I never heard anything else again after that or seen anything. But it definitely got my attention. Like something was purposefully trying to get my attention. And it was almost getting like upset the more I was ignoring it, because the noises just kept intensifying every time I would think, well, that's nothing. I'm just going to go back. And so it'd be like, again, it would just intensify. But like I said, that I couldn't even think of what would have made that noise on a third time, because it wouldn't have made that noise outside in the dining room because that's a carpeted area and the dining room is tiled. The only thing that could have fallen would be like a chair that would have made that noise, but the chairs were all upright. Nothing on the floor like that. And yeah, it was just really confusing because you definitely know what you heard, and you heard something hit the floor, but there was nothing on the floor when I looked.
Man, does it feel like activities ramping up at your workplace?
Um, it kind of does seem like that. I don't know. Like I said, because to me the strange thing is like it's been a year since I've really experienced anything, and then this last month or so now I've experienced two separate incidences at work, and it's just like basically since like talking to you, because like that
Oh no, I'm
incident.
sorry.
Yeah, well, that first
Oh.
incident happened before I talked to you, but it just seems like I don't know if because this is getting brought up again,
Hmm.
that it just made me more aware. Maybe this has been going on, and just because I've been focused on other things, like I really haven't been paying attention to it like I have in the past. But now, since talking about it, now maybe I'm more aware my surroundings of what's going on. So I'm like paying attention to it. I'm trying to rationalize it and explain, why this could be occurring suddenly when I really haven't had any type of experience whatsoever this past year up until these few episodes at work. And so, of course, your brain is going to do what it does best and try and rationalize it, you know. So, I don't know what's caused these activities to occur all of a sudden and why I've taken notice, but I definitely know they were paranormal experiences based on what it was. Like if I would have just heard that noise one time and nothing, I wouldn't even have called that a paranormal experience. I wouldn't have. But the fact that it happened three separate times and each time seemed to intensify, that's why I'm labeling it paranormal, even though I didn't see nothing. But that's also why I'm labeling it paranormal, is because I didn't see nothing that would have caused those noises.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, so it was like something was trying to get my attention, and when it finally got it, nothing happened. So that's what made this experience unusual for me.
Hmm.
It made it stick with me and made me take more of a notice because, like I said, of the nature of it, seeming like it's doing everything it can to get my attention. And when it finally gets my full attention, nothing happens. So it's just like, what was that then? You know?
Is
And it's
is
just like you want to be careful because it's your workplace. It's not like I don't want to explore or go into it too much because it's a place where I work,
hmm.
almost daily. So I don't want to get too involved into something like that at my workplace.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. Is anyone
Yeah.
else having experiences that stand
I think, like I said, my cook, our cook, I shouldn't say my cook, our cook at that workplace has told me, she has experienced things periodically. Um, Throughout her time there, she's been there longer than I have. And like I said, if you ask her, she will tell you she 100% believes it's former clients who have passed that are trying to reconnect. Um, like I said, I'm not going to say she's right or wrong because, like I said, even though I firmly believe in a paranormal stuff that we don't understand, I still like to go off evidence before I label something. So I can't sit here and say 100%, yep, those are former clients. But, would it make sense? I mean, yeah. I mean, because our clients have passed in the home. So, obviously that would be plausible and make sense, but it's not like I've seen a full on visual or heard a voice that would indicate it's a client of the past. So I just know it's unusual experiences that have happened. And like I said, the one with the feet, that was shortly after a client has passed. So, I mean, if you're going off circumstantial type of things, it does make sense, does add up that it could be a former client. Um, it would be comforting, I mean, to know that as opposed to something negative,
Hmm.
that it could be. But yeah, there has been shared experiences at work. I work, like I said, third shift. You normally work by yourself. I normally get off at 8 o'clock, and first shift will come in at like 6. So I'll have a couple of hours with other employees there before I go home. But the vast majority of my third shift, I'm there alone. So um, it, my experience of has not been like shared with somebody else. It's just been my own personal experience. But she said she has had shared experiences with other workers, and I think she even said she had a shared experience with a client there too. So she fully believes that our work is haunted, but it's haunted by former clients. So
Yeah.
I think that gives her a little comfort because she is the type that is really close with our clients as well, and so I think it gives her peace of mind and helps her cope with the losses a little easier.
Hmm. Hmm.
So which makes sense.
Yeah. We want our work to be like our home. We spend a lot of time at our work. We want them to be safe places as well, obviously.
Right.
Yeah, man. Wow, brother. You look into the paranormal, it looks back. That's something that uh, I've come to discover. I've had a lot of experiences throughout my life, but I know when I started Let's Get Freaky podcast, there was a lot of weird stuff happening. And maybe, like you said, maybe sometimes when you're not thinking about this stuff, you don't notice it. But when you are talking about it and thinking about it, you start noticing those little things that you might miss. And you're like, oh, that's
Yeah.
strange. That's actually strange. Like, what is that? And then you explore, whereas before you might hear something and it's gone. You think, okay, yeah. And then once you put it to the back of your mind, it's gone. But yeah, it is interesting, man. This world is a lot more stranger.
Yeah, because I even questioned myself. It's like, especially with the first thing I heard with just the slight rustling of the papers, like without talking to you or being open or more aware of this, do I even pay attention to that in the first place?
Hmm.
Or do I even react to it? But knowing that I got a podcast schedule with you, we've been talking about it. Like I said, maybe it has heightened my senses to where when I do feel or hear stuff like that, instead of just ignoring it, now it's just like, well, what could have that? And it's like going back on old instincts, like, well, what could that noise have been?
Hmm.
Let's go see. Let's see what that could have possibly been, as opposed to you don't even really notice it happens in the first place.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, man. It's very interesting. Very interesting, man. Wade, I have loved talking to you tonight, brother. I know we've gone over our time. I promise you just an hour and we've gone over, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming on, coming back and sharing your experiences, man. Super interesting. Keep us posted. I would love to talk to you again. I'd love to have you back on, man. It sounds like there's possibly going to be more stuff happening. I hope all safe. That's the main thing. All safe. And very interesting stuff, brother. Can you tell the listeners where they can find you?
Yeah, like I said, I got social media, Facebook. Mm, that's pretty much all I do. I'm not like a huge social media guy, but I do got Facebook. And like I said, I do sometimes YouTube videos, not necessarily on paranormal, but you can find me on YouTube and everything like that. Is the thing with paranormal, as much as I would love to get back into it, it does take up a lot of time. And when you have a family, sometimes it can be difficult.
Hmm.
you know so it's just like my interest in it has never faded, but it just, I don't put as much time into it as I used to for obvious reasons. um but yeah, they can find me on my Facebook page, or look me up on YouTube if they're interested in other stuff that I do, for sure.
What's the name of your channel, man?
um the name of my YouTube is Mr. Riverman Style.
Mr.
You
Riverman Style.
Yeah.
Awesome, brother. Well, I'll share that in the show description as well. So people can go right now, subscribe to that. And yeah, thank you so much, brother. I'd love to get you back on soon. Keep us posted if anything else strange happens.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Because I've only shared with you, things that I didn't expect to happen. I haven't even told you about my investigations. So
Oh,
I
are
mean,
you
no.
dropping more? You're dropping
So,
more teasers.
I mean, yeah, if you want, I can go over investigations that I've been on. Because, like I said, I've been in mental health hospitals, prisons, homes. stuff like that. So,
Let's do it.
like I said, I used to be really into this when I was in my 20s. So there is some places that I have investigated, places that I wish I could have too, because like I said, I'm a history buff on top of it. Some places on my bucket list that I would still like to go to is old battlefields from like the Civil War and stuff. Um, that's always been on my bucket list and always been a dream of mine to investigate places like that. So, I mean, like I said, the interest has never faded, but, my time is occupied by, my family, which is most important in my life.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Absolutely, brother. Well, I'm going to get you back on because we've got to hear that. We've got to hear about that. You've dropped another teaser in there at the end. You're an absolute legend, man. Thank you so much.
You know.
Yeah, yeah, you got to give us. We'll have to do it soon. We'll have to do it soon, brother. Thank you so much for your time tonight, man. Super interesting stuff. I've been looking forward to that since we last talked. Been because you dropped a teaser at the end last time as well, and I was like, oh, I need to know. I need to know. But I really appreciate it, man. So thank you so much, and let's do it again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And like I said, I love to share this stuff and get this off my chest. And like I said, there's some stuff that I like told tonight that I've never said out loud before to anybody. So it is nice to tell that to somebody who can appreciate it for what it is and really listen to it without dismissing what you're saying. So it's nice. It's really cool to be on your show, and I love what you do. Bring in light to these things. It's awesome,
Thank
So
you.
keep being you, dude. Keep doing this. Keep bringing on other people. It's very awesome what you do.
Oh, bless you, man. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. I love hearing these experiences, man. As I say, I've had a lot of weird stuff myself. I know this world is a lot more stranger than we think it is. There's a lot more going on. So yeah, the more we share, the better, the more we learn. And maybe one day we'll get the answers.
Maybe that's a big maybe.
A big maybe. But thank you so much, man. I'm going to book you again. I want to get you back on. And yeah, thank you so much for your time, brother.
No problem. We'll do it again soon.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. We hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you have, share it where you can. That is a great way to support the podcast. And we'll be back very soon for more freaky conversations. In the meantime, stay safe and keep it freaky. Bye for now. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.